We welcome you, sir. Now I request Mr. Prakash, sir, to come on stage and introduce our chief guest.
Good morning. Namaskara. I have been warned not to use the prefix justice. I thought I had written and said I want to call him Honorable Justice Santosh Hegde. Introducing Mr. Santosh Hegde would be like carrying coal to Newcastle. Who doesn't know Mr. Santosh Hegde? We're delighted to have him here. I'll just give a brief introduction for the sake of the formalities that we need to, for those people who don't know. I'm sure the whole of Bangalore knows who Santosh Hegde is. I'm calling him right now. I've been advised not to do that, so I shall heed to his advice. Born on 16 June 1940 in 𝗏𝗏, Udupi district, Karnataka. He hails from a very distinguished family. He is the son of former Supreme Court Judge Case Hegde and 𝗵𝗥𝗃𝗥𝗔 Hegde, one of 6 children in the family. His academic journey began with early education in St. Aloysius College, Mangalore. I'm delighted I have some sort of a connection to Bangalore because I did my master's in Surat Culture, some sort of a connection there. And Madras Christian College. He completed his intermediate studies at St. Joseph's College, Bangalore, earned a BSc degree from Central College, Bangalore, and further graduated with a law degree from Government Law College, now University Law College, Bangalore in 1965. When we went to invite him, he didn't hesitate even a moment. As a matter of fact, he changed his program. He was to go to Bangalore. And also further, I think the whole thing got better because Indigo couldn't allow him in. And we were delighted, and he accepted the invitation immediately. And he said, I'll be there. And one more thing I want to tell you people, that he called me and said, is it not on 6th? I'm again confirming. He called me on phone, and I think few chief guests have done that, and called me and reconfirmed that he's going to come there, I'll be there. After completing apprenticeship training, he enrolled as an advocate in January 1968 and was designated as senior advocate in May 1984. Mr. Hegde was appointed as the Advocate General of the state of Karnataka in February 1984 and held this position till August 1988. I hope my information is correct, Mr. Hegde. If there is something wrong, you have to correct me. He worked as Additional Solicitor General of the Union of India from December 1989 to November 1990 and was reappointed as the Solicitor General of India on 25/4/1998. 𝗏𝗏 Santosh Hegde was appointed as Judge of the Supreme Court of India in 8/1/1999. He retired as Judge of the Supreme Court of India in June 2005. He was later appointed as Lokayukta of Karnataka State of 3rd August 2006 for a term of 5 years. He retired as Lokayukta of Karnataka on 2nd August 2011. He consistently stresses the greed, lack of contentment, and prioritizing wealth over justice or root cause of society decline, advocating for humanism and ethical ambition. He calls for proactive legal action to protect children and empathizes the role of youth in upholding national values. Justice Santosh Hegde stands as one of India's most respected voice on institutional integrity and public accountability. He just now showed me a paper cutting amazing that how he still follows up things. His presence today reinforces that apartment governance is not merely procedural, it is foundational to democracy, integrity, and community protection. May I request you, sir, please come and take it. Now, may I introduce our guest of honor today, Sri Rakesh Singh IAS, retired, Chairman of Karnataka Real Estate Regulatory Authority. Sri Rakesh Singh IAS, retired, hailing from a respected family in Uttar Pradesh and deep roots in public service. Sri Singh graduated from the prestigious 1988 batch of Indian Administrative Service, allocated to the Karnataka cadre. His early career showcased exceptional administrative acumen, rising to pivotal roles that shaped urban policy and infrastructure across the state. This illustrious background, marked by integrity and dedication, positions him uniquely to guide Karnataka's real estate sector to a greater accountability and excellence. As a matter of fact, just sitting across, we had a bit of a discussion as to what it should be, what our role is. It's quite interesting to listen to him. I'm sure you'll have a lot of things to say. Sri Rakesh Singh IAS, retired, is among Karnataka's most respected administrators, with a distinguished career spanning over 35 years in public service. As the former Additional Chief Secretary of the Urban Development and Administrator of BBMP, he brings unmatched expertise in urban governance, infrastructure development, and regulatory administration. His leadership across key departments, including water resources and major development bodies, has earned him a lasting reputation for transparent, ethical, and citizen-focused governance. Thank you, sir. May I invite you to come and occupy us?
We now request Mr. 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗿 sir to present the ceremonial shawl to our chief guest and guest of honor. Thank you, dignitaries. I now request Mr. Uday sir and Krishna sir to escort our chief guest and guest of honor to their reserved tables.
The chief organizer of this function, Mr. Prakash, and his son, 𝗵𝗿𝗶𝗿, the chief guest of the day, Mr. Singh, ladies and gentlemen, I would consider this as a very informative and necessary seminar, because today the number of flat owners are increasing tremendously for various reasons. I myself am living in an apartment for the last about 20 years. But then, even though I was a lawyer and a judge, so far as the law pertaining to apartments is concerned, I am as ignorant as most of you here. I accepted the invitation to be here today, telling Mr. Prakash that I'll be speaking more about social values rather than the apartment laws. And I've heard and I know now there are experts in the subject here who will be speaking throughout the day. I'm sure the knowledge of law of which I am ignorant will be known to you all shortly here. I worked in many positions until I came to the institution of Karnataka Lokayukta. I felt till then I was a frog in the well. I did not know the sufferings of the people. I was comfortable and I thought most of the people were comfortable. Per contra, when I worked in Lokayukta, I saw a lot of sufferings of the people. And I was wondering why this is happening so. Then I realized it is not the fault of individuals. It is the fault of the society in which we are. When I was young, I lived in a society which respected honesty, which respected public service. But things have changed very much today. Today we live in a society which respects only money and power. How you have become rich, how you have acquired power is not bothered by the society to find out. It respects the fact that you are rich, the fact that you are powerful. Therefore, there is a mad race in the society today to become rich. There is nothing wrong in becoming rich. There is nothing wrong in holding high posts, provided you reach that goal in a legitimate manner, not by stealing from somebody's pocket, not by cheating people and acquiring the post or money for that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, in the process of finding out what was the cause for this, I realized the primary cause is a disease called greed. This disease has no limit. We have developed very much, but I think the development of greed, I'm deliberately using the word development, is far more than any other development in this country. For example, there was greed even in the olden days, but the number was very small. In the decade of 50s, there were many scams were there. I'll give you one example to show the growth of greed in this country. A transaction called Jeep scam. In importing Jeep vehicles from Great Britain for our soldiers and policemen. In that scam, few people in power swindled 52 lakhs of rupees at a time when there were no 𝗘𝘀𝗵𝗶𝗍s, only lakhs were there. And 52 lakhs were siphoned off by few people in power. In the next decade, again, there were a number of scams were there, but I'm giving you one example called 𝗵𝗶𝗶. In purchasing weapons for Indian soldiers from Sweden, country lost 64 crores of rupees. From 52 lakhs, we came to 64 crores in one scam. Then came a scam called Commonwealth Games. 70,000 crores were siphoned off. These are not figures made by me for my speech. You go to Google, you'll find the answer for these questions. Then came a scam thereafter called 2G. Country lost 1,76,000 crores in one scam. Then came a scam called Colgate, that is coal scam. Country lost 1,86,000 crores. If so much of money is siphoned off from the treasuries of the government, how much really goes for development? The answer is given none other than a former Prime Minister of this country, late Rajiv Gandhi, in 1985. In a public speech, he mentioned, at that time, out of 1 rupee government gave for development, only 15 paise reached that target. You go to Google, you'll find this also. Now, today, I'm sure it has gone far beyond 2 lakh crores or something and all. Ladies and gentlemen, if the greed keeps going like this, where will the true development be? And what is the way you can control this greed? Greed is not afraid of law. That too in a country where it takes 70 to 75 years before the last court delivers its judgment. Greed is not afraid of anybody or anything, is the thing, you know. The only way you can control greed is by inculcating a value which our elders had established in the society, called contentment in life. Contentment doesn't mean that at one stage you get your benefits of the thing, then you be satisfied with that. No. Contentment also includes ambition. Ambition to become somebody big, ambition to become somebody rich. Legitimately earned wealth is no product of sin. But very, very unfortunately, in every walk of life I have seen in 5 years and thereafter, there is this disease which has no other treatment. Because the only way that encourages this disease is the public opinion, which is only appreciating people who are rich and legitimate without even trying to find out how they became rich or legitimate. Ladies and gentlemen, if this continues to be so, we are seeing the reactions, what has happened in our neighboring countries. Take, for example, Nepal recently. What has happened? A revolution has changed the government, but not the system. It will take a long, long time to change the system. In a revolution is no excuse or no treatment for this at all, because in revolution there is no winners. In Nepal itself, whichever government comes and it wants to further develop, it will take 50 years, nothing short of that. Let's not try through a revolution to change this system. Let's try to change the principles which can be done. There was that system available in this country about 50, 60 years back, when people who made a mistake were punished by the society and not by the court of law. For example, in my village, if somebody was sent to jail, or somebody committed a mistake which had social effect on it and all, then my parents would tell me, don't go near that house. That boycott was such a punishment that people were afraid to make mistakes. That is the system that we have to re-inculcate. We have to inculcate the values that will prevent this greed. And law is of no use at all. In today's system, the judicial system, Every court takes 15 to 20 years before it could decide one case. So much so, today, there's so many cases pending in the courts, out of which at least 50% are speculative litigations, just to waste time and succeed by that process and all. For example, if there is a landlord-tenant case, if I am the tenant and one of you is the landlord, and if you want the house back, and if you ask me to vacate the house, I won't vacate the house. I say go to court, and you go to court. It takes 15 years or 16 years before you get your first judgment. Then I go up in appeal. I know I have no case at all, but I still go up in appeal, and there is a system called status quo being maintained and an interim order granted. Another 15 years in that court. Then the High Court, then the Supreme Court. By the time the final judgment comes, I don't know who's there and who's not there. So that's not the way. But another system is developing in commercial cities which will spread to the other parts of the world, where underground takes over justice delivery system. In the same similar case which I mentioned, the underground people will approach the landlord and say, you want the house to be vacated? Yeah, we pay so much. One-time payment, not multiple time payments or anything and all. And that underground person will come to me and say, you vacate the house just today. Otherwise, your daughter will be kidnapped, son will be murdered. So justice is done. That is the system that is in the verge of coming up into the thing. So we have to understand the consequences of the change unless the change is for better. Ladies and gentlemen, I have seen the effect of it because within the jurisdiction of the Karnataka Lokayukta, which had only two powers. One is giving relief to people who suffer from maladministration. Other is fighting corruption through the Lokayukta police. Lokayukta himself has no power at all because under the Prevention of Corruption Act, it says any investigation under this act shall be conducted by a police officer not below the Deputy Superintendent of Police. So it's the police who do it and all. During my time, I had wonderful officers who did a great job on the thing and all. 3 chief ministers were prosecuted during my time, not politically motivated. One from Congress, one from JDS, one from BJP. And many officers, many ministers were also prosecuted during that time. This is the only process by which we can change the system, by inculcating contentment. Contentment need not be bought in a medical shop, but who teaches us to have contentment? When I was young, my parents told me the do's and don'ts of life. If I made a mistake, I was corporally punished. When I went to school, I had a subject called moral science, which reiterated what my parents told me. Today, most of the parents are working class. They want to become somebody big in their institution. They have no time to spend with their children. They give an iPhone to the children, and the children are on their own. Parents bring the headache from their office and work on the computers. Who teaches them? Today, the respect is for wealth. So everybody wants to become rich. Greed has gone to such level, even young kids are suffering from this. We can't continue to be like this. We have to change. And the only way that changes is inculcating the value called contentment. And as I mentioned, contentment doesn't come from your shops. You have to inculcate it yourself. I have done it and I'm speaking about it. Imagine how much money I would have made if I were to be somebody who's receiving money from people in power. I've retired in 2011. I name it every speech I delivered. The only way you can be peaceful in your life, where you can get good sleep, is by inculcating contentment. A few months back, I saw a television news item where enforcement department raided a senior politician and they found 252 crores of rupees packed and kept in the cupboard. That money goes forever. He may be acquitted in a case, but the money will never ever be returned because that money, income tax has not been paid, it was not declared to the income tax department. It will never ever be returned. And what would you think he was enjoying with the money in the house? When the income tax will come, when the robbers will come, when the children go bad because of so much cash at home and all. Psychologically, he'll never ever be happy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's inculcate contentment. Contentment in reality means being happy with what you legitimately have. That doesn't mean you must be there in that status only. Earn as much as you want. Legitimately earned wealth is no product of sin. I'm saying this in this gathering, which is meant for transmitting knowledge about the departmental laws and all, because for everything, every crime, greed is the most important factor, which is the root cause for that. I'll give you 2 or 3 examples of my experience in Lokayukta, then I will conclude. In 2008, a person came to the Lokayukta office. I asked him, what's the problem? He said, my wife has delivered a girl child. I said, what's the problem with that? No, sir, there is a scheme of the government of Karnataka, according to which a child born to a poor family is entitled for, a female child born to a poor family is entitled for monetary benefits. I'm a poor person and I'm not getting the benefit. My child is not getting the benefit. So I sent an officer to investigate and give a report on that. And as per the report, his wife, who's a pregnant lady, and the accompanying person walked 7 kilometers from their village to district hospital for delivery because the scheme also included a condition that the child, girl child born, should be in a government hospital. They were not given, or the pregnant woman was not given a bed without the money they demanded. She didn't have that much money, then they refused to reduce it. So ultimately, she had to send the accompanying person back to the village to get some money. Meantime, the pregnant lady was told to sit outside the hospital. And she went across the road and sat there. Before the money could come, she delivered a child in the bus stop. Not a story made by me. The documents are there in the Lokayukta Act. What sort of a people are they? Now, I gave a report to the government saying that using a principle called vicarious liability, the master is responsible for the mistakes of the servant. It is because of your servant that she had to deliver a child outside in the bus stop, for which you are responsible under the legal principle. And the child was given benefit by the government. But look at the system that is working. Many of you would have seen how the system functions. It's not only the government servants, it's anybody and everybody in power. And even in ordinary private institutions, you have this greed. Without which I can assure you your life is perfect. You enjoy whatever status you're holding, however rich you are. So that is the most important thing. Another value which is also necessary for peace in the society is what is called humanism. We are not born human being. There is no species called human being. We are born to a species called Homo sapiens, which has got nothing to do with humanism. Humanism is a value which our elders created in the society for peace and solidarity. If you have humanism, you become a human being. I'll give you an example. About in 2011, in the outskirts of Bangalore, near Yeshwanthpur, a youngster called Harish Nanjappa was riding a motorcycle. Behind him was coming a lorry with a punctured tire, which accidentally went over his body, and the body was severed to 2 pieces. He was still alive. There are a lot of people taking photograph and videographing. He asked them for a little water. Nobody gave it. The ambulance came, it picked up the 2 pieces of body and put it in the ambulance, and they were still alive. He told the ambulance staff to tell the doctor to donate his eyes. This is not a story made up by me. ZTV gave a posthumous award to his mother, and I was requested to give the award, and I was present myself at that point of time. Ladies and gentlemen, these 2 values will make you a perfect human being, and that will bring to you the satisfaction in life. The difference between rich and the poor has always been ever since the world was invented. Human beings by themselves are not responsible for this separation, but they are responsible for the consequences. About 50, 60 years back, the society didn't respect the people who became rich unlawfully. But today, they are the respected ones. Therefore, if you can inculcate the value and then transfer it to your children, I think the future also will be very good. I hope the subject you are going to discuss today will also be influenced by the fact that if you have contentment in life and humanism. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you for your inspiring words. Sir, Tahir will now present the sapling to. I now invite our Chief Guest of Honor, Sri Rakesh Singh sir, to deliver the keynote address.
Respected sirs, ladies and gentlemen, when I was invited for this function or this conference, I was fairly confused because I didn't know the proper background of all this. Having come here, I was still confused. When I reached, I had a small discussion which made me little enlightened. But after listening to sir, I really don't know what to talk. For the simple reason, if one can inculcate what sir said, then these seminars, conferences, laws, they will certainly take a back seat. Somebody was telling me recently, it's not my own statement, in the last 2-3 decades, the society has stopped investing in civilization. We have started investing in people, which made us what sir elaborated. These are so sentimental, emotional issues that it need not be preached, talk. One has to understand oneself and try to improve upon that. For me, this real estate has been almost a learning for last 15, 16 months. It is a good learning, but there are still a lot of gaps. People are deliberating on different aspects of it. God willing, in next few months, some better enforcement, better framework will evolve. I don't know, many of you must be knowing, some 4-5 months back, Honorable Prime Minister had a very detailed review of this RERA Act. And under his direction, a team was constituted. Many terms of references are there which I am aware. But this aspect, what Prakash sir briefed me, I don't think it has found a place. I promise that I'll try to get it included. We meet, all the chairmen, we meet once in 3 months. Next week we are meeting. This aspect, what you have suggested, or anything what you feel that should be included, I promise that it will not only be included, it will be articulated and done the way we will suggest to that, because it is for the larger society where this, I'll not call greed, but the need for housing or need for having one's own apartment, villa or plot has become so
common and people are in such a great hurry that everybody wants to have his first property very early in age, second property, third property, and there's no end to it. Then we'll come to what Sir said, but both these things have to run parallelly. And if we are honest, the trust, the confidence, if we are honest, we'll be certainly delivering a right property to people. Where I sit, whatever little experience I have got seeing the promoters and the allottees, it becomes very difficult for me, sir, to decide who is more good. I'm using the right word. I wanted to speak who is more confused. I have seen promoters vanishing. Their interest was that they wanted to swindle money. I have seen projects where they have sold the projects where the land itself was not there. There was no land, but the project is sold. I have seen allottees who are so demanding about the square feet of the bedroom, or I'll give one, sorry for giving this example, just one example. One person came against, sorry for naming the promoter, Brigade Properties, who are considered to be relatively trustworthy in Bangalore, that the WC that they had provided in his toilet was not what was told. It took 2-3 interactions, and the brigade people gave the brochure of Jaguar. They got the local distributor of Jaguar to convince that what that person is asking, that kind of WC Jaguar has never done, where the commitment in agreement of sale was Jaguar's. So what I'm requesting, sir, that most of us have become so confused, and so our entire framework is me, my family, my wealth, my things, and that is the end of it. What you said about the parenting and sorry, giving one more example. Dr. 𝗵𝗶𝗿𝗂𝗥𝗏 from National Public School told me once that it is so difficult to handle children in school. Reason if they don't study properly, the parents find the school and the teachers responsible. If the teacher tells something in a relatively hard manner, then also parents feel that it is wrong. Then he argued that your child is in my school for maybe 6-7 hours of the day. Remaining time, he is in the home environment, and he's there with us only for 5 days. So meaning thereby 35, 40, 45 hours of whatever he spends in a week. You hold me responsible fully, wherein you also have a role. But again, we are in a civilization or the time where these things we have to learn ourselves. But let's try what Sir said, change has to be good. It may be from 6th of December 2025 or as early as possible. Thanks for calling me here. I have only one request, what I requested. If you can give me some articulation of different aspects of the work, what I am doing, I promise I'll take it forward, and I promise that it will be done. Thanks for calling me here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Swati will be presenting the sampling.